everybody, how's it going? It is Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. My name is Melissa, and this is my channel, Geeky Witch, about all things cross-stitch in my life. Thanks for spending a little more time with me. I know it's been a few weeks since I've posted, and that's just been due to the normal life craziness that, we all have. And I will apologize for a little bit of background noise. My husband and my son are home because it is school vacation week. Yeah. So, fun. Anyway, so I have a few things to show you today. I do have some updates on stuff I've been stitching over the last few weeks. I have some stash enhancement that I have done. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the retreat that I'm going to tonight. Can't wait! I haven't been to a retreat in a while, so looking forward. Actually, no, I did go to the one in November. I kind of keep forgetting about November. But before then, it had been like pre-COVID. So I'll talk to you about that at the end. But let's get started with the stitching, shall we? So I'll do stash enhancement first this time because that's the stuff that's closest to me, and then I can kind of get it out of the way. I finally got up to Pam's shop, Stitch New England in North Attleboro. I feel embarrassed because I've been meaning to go since it opened, but when it opened I was sick with a cold, then got sick with another cold, and then the holidays came, and it's just kind of been a blur. So yeah, finally got up there on Saturday. Absolutely adorable little shop. Wanted to make sure that I picked up a few things, even though I knew I was going to this retreat this week where I might spend some more money. So, and I will definitely be back up there. If you're in the southern New England area, definitely pop by, say hi to her. There are some great restaurants nearby, so you can kind of make a little afternoon of it. Highly recommended. Definitely go and say hi to Pam. And so at her shop, I picked up 3 charts. I picked up Summer Witches from Bendy Stitchy. I'm thinking, though, I might have to make one of those witches sunburned, because I can't believe that every single witch would have the right magic to be able to get a perfect tan. Some of them are going to be like me, where, we even think of the sun and we get like lobster red. Yeah. So I may have to do a little changing there, but other than that, cute little pattern. And then I got Hildy at the Apothecary, also from Bendy Stitchy. I have one of the other Hildy patterns from the Trick or Treat box. So I think it's going to be kind of fun to do the series. I'm going to enjoy that. And then I let my son pick one pattern. He kind of keeps going on off again with cross stitching. He wants to learn, but he doesn't want to learn. So I let him pick a pattern, and hoping that it would be one that if he doesn't want to stitch, then I'll be like, sure, you know what, it's not a loss because I'll stitch it. And thankfully, he picked something that I do like. So this is by Lindy Stitches, and I'm holding it up sideways because that's how it is. This looks like one of our, it's kind of out of focus. Anyway, it is a calico kitty walking through the tulips. This is called Cats in the Garden, Prancing in the Tulips. And I guess this is a seasonal series where she has different cats having fun being outside. And Max really liked it because it looks like one of our cats, Leia, the mama cat for all of our kittens. Only she doesn't have a poofy tail. So I picked up the 3 overdyed flosses for that. I did have to do a sub on the green, but it's going to work just fine. So that's those 3. And then I let Max just randomly pick 5 colors off the floss wall, which I have to say, the floss wall that Pam has set up is glorious. It's just stretched out, nice and easy. You can find everything. You can just bask in the glory of color. Very well laid out. So Max picked out, Max is into bumblebees. Let me quantify that. He loves yellow. Yellow is hands down his favorite color. So he has Golden Star, and then he saw Queen Bee and Honeycomb, which to my naked eye look pretty much like the same color. Maybe one's a shade darker than the other, but they're pretty identical in my mind. But obviously I need to find a bee pattern now. And then Cupid, because it was, of course, right after Valentine's Day, and it's a pretty red. I've got a cat meowing. And Fancy Green Nancy, which is a really cute green for, you know, the flowers that he wants. So I may be hand sketching something to stitch with these colors for him and doing a custom piece for him. We shall see. But yes, those are my son's selections at the store. Then after that, I have my monthlies. I thought I had one from Be Stitch Me, but I might have put it away already. I think that came in a little bit earlier, so I just kind of put it aside. But I belong to two fabric clubs. I have the Be Stitch Me one, and then I have Fortnite Fabrics. And then I also am part of Color and Cotton's Floss monthly, because their floss is just gorgeous. So I'll show that first. I'm in the one where I'm getting 10 skeins a month, so I can really build up my stash, because I really do want some nice colors that I can swap out and just play with, especially if I can't find a certain color, you know, when I go to the store for a project that I'm getting. And I figure having my own to play with and to swap is never a bad thing. So they do 8-yard skeins, not the 5 or 10 like you see with some of the other dyers. They sent a set of 5 that are Valentine's themed. Aren't those pretty? So we have Twinkle, we have Armor, which is definitely a steely gray. We have their version of Cupid, which is more pink. We have Cherry Fizz, really cute. And we have Parlor, which is kind of that very formal, you know, burgundy red. Very pretty. And then they had 5 other colors. I kind of call this this is the warm color version, and then they had the cool color set. So in that set, I'll show that one as a group. We have Thora. We have Heather, which is exactly what it says on the tin. We have Lullaby, which is a little bit of a lighter purple. This one's definitely darker. We have, I'm probably mispronouncing this, Verditer Blue. Hopefully I'm not completely botching that. And Chartreuse, which of course is a great green. So those are my Color and Cotton flosses for the month. Theirs is definitely a highly recommended if you're looking to build up your stash. Reliable, always ships on time, well packaged. Can't say enough good things about them. My other monthly ship is Fortnite Fabrics. I learned about them last year and joined in for about the latter half of the year. I did 40 count fabrics last year, and then decided this year, to start the fresh year, I would switch it to 32, because I now have a good stash of 40 between Be Stitch Me and last year's Fortnite Fabrics. But I'd like to get some 32 count that's good for larger pieces. So I am doing a half yard of 32 through them. So my January color is called Sea of Fog. This is 32 count Lugana. and it is a very, very pale blue. I don't think this is coming in quite true on the screen. Close, but picture like the lightest blue sky when it's pretty cloudy, because there is a lot of white in this, but just really, really pretty. It'll be a great neutral. I really like their marbling. It's like, it's not in your face marbling, so there's just enough of a texture to the color, but it's not going to overpower your stitching. And everything's serged, which is awesome. So if you're in the market to check out new fabrics, definitely go over to Fortnite Fabrics and give those guys a call. They're on Instagram, I believe, as well. So, and they just seem like a couple of really sweet guys. So, yeah. I also decided to try their ornament cuts. They are doing 9x9 cuts, 3 cuts a month. You pick your fabric count. I decided on 36 count for my fabric cuts because I like to make ornaments that are a little bit smaller, personal preference. The colors are going to be random, so they're not all going to be what you would think for Christmas ornaments. They might be for any time of year. And I wanted to get them because I don't have a lot of small cuts in my stash, and I always find that when I'm going to do an ornament, I'm like hesitant to cut that big piece of fabric. I don't know if anyone else gets that weird, I'm going to be cutting the fabric and I'm like going to be messing it up and then it's going to be forever tarnished or some, you know, stupid thing like that. So if I have a small cut already there, I'm going to do it, and then I'll be more apt to grab it. So yeah, anyway, long story short, I decided to do this for the year, so I will be getting 3 cuts a month in random colors. All of mine are a selection of 36 count, did I do linen? Yeah, 36 count linen. So, and they are unnamed, so they just are ornament cuts. So I have a really neat gingerbready brown, which of course will be great for a Christmas ornament. We have a minty green. It's a little bright for Christmas. It's much more, think like shamrocky to minty spring green than Christmas green. But depending on the ornament, it might work. So there's that one. And then this one definitely strikes me much more as a spring to summertime ornament color. That's a funky one, huh? So there's that one. So that's all my stash enhancement. There will be more in the next episode because Stitcher's Hideaway always comes with stash enhancement. Randy from the World in Stitches up in Littleton, Mass is going to be there, I think, just through tomorrow, so I have to do my shopping pretty quickly, which is fine because then I won't be tempted to go back and spend more money because I can get myself into trouble. We all can, of course. Stash is fun, and going hunting is really fun. But yes, so there will be more enhancement coming next time. But that's what I've bought in the last few weeks. I am trying to keep myself on a little bit more of a budget because I went way too far overboard last year. I bought way too much stuff. Way too much stuff. So I need to pare that down a bit and calm down and just stitch and actually use some of this stuff. On a side note of that, on the I have too much stuff, my storage stuff's up that I mentioned last time. Ain't it looking good? Yeah, so all my storage bins are in here, and you can see pretty much all of these magazine holders. Those are like mostly charts. There's a few other things in there. There's some magazines in there, but that's primarily charts. That's what I have in my stash. It's terrifying, but that's pretty much all of it. And then the bin, I'm like trying to point behind me here. This is one of many bins of projects that are in progress in some form, whether they are seriously active or kind of on a bit of a holiday at the moment. The ones in this bin in particular are the ones that I worked on for the New Year's Eve project, and they just haven't gone into this down into the cabinets yet. They were in one of my bags, and I needed to empty that bag to take it to Hideaway, so they're now up there. But yeah, my next project with all of that up there is to go through it and weed out duplicates, because I'm sure there are some, and also if there's stuff that I know I'm just never going to stitch, to pull it out and either offer it up here on a raffle or sell it or bring it to a retreat for freebie tables, whatnot, to let them have another home with someone who maybe can make better use of it. That's a project that's going to be taking me a little bit though, because I do itemize my stuff and I want to make sure everything is organized and sorted, and so that's my spring project. Yay! But yeah, I'm so happy with how that's looking back there, and those cabinets hold a ton of stuff. I've been shocked at how much stuff I've been able to fit in there. It's so nice to have a space of my own again. I can't tell you. I used to have an office upstairs in our house, but when we had Max, that became the nursery and then his bedroom. So I kind of was in limbo for a few years with my stuff kind of scattered throughout the house, because I really didn't have a corner of my own. And it's nice to have a corner again between work and my crafting, and it's my own space, my own house, which I love it. Okay, so next thing is I'm going to show you what I've been working on. And this does not include the stuff that I started for New Year's Eve that I haven't touched since. That stuff really isn't worth showing right now because they only have like one length of floss done. So those will come up in rotation as I get a little bit more done on them. A couple of the pieces though I've picked up again, and those you're going to see here. The first two are ones that I am not taking to Hideaway with me. I've been working on them through the Olympics and decided to take a little break from them and give some other projects, my WhipGo projects, some love. So the first one I'm going to show you is the Jazz Sampler. This is by Victoria Sampler, and I have this kitted with the flosses that were in one of her floss packs. She would do that for several of her charts. She would just basically do all the cut lengths of everything you needed, which is awesome because, you know, you're talking about some expensive silk, and if you don't need a huge length of Gloriana, having just what you need is perfect. So that's that one. I still haven't decided whether I'm going to do the cut work on the bottom. I finally did learn how to do cut work in September. We'll see when I get down there whether I'm feeling up to the challenge, but I will at least get it done through, you know, the bottom black heart. We'll see. So this one I am doing on 28 count even weave, and like I said, it's the silks and the other flosses that come in, called for in the pattern, that were part of the pattern. This was one of my New Year's Eve starts for the Pam and Steph New Year's Eve 12 on 12. And not a ton done, but I'm getting that first row together. It's a decent amount. So here's so you can see which houses are which. That, you know what, that white shows up a little bit better on the screen than I was thinking it was going to, but I think once I get those windows and the roof outlined, I think it'll be even better. I was a little worried about that white, but it's doing okay. So that's that one. I'm doing this with, am I doing this with 2 or 1? I forget. 2. So it's 2 over 2 right now. There is some 1 over 1 that's coming up. I did a decent amount of work on this for the Olympics, and I think it's going to be a fun stitch. Once I really get that first row done where, you know, I have my defined edges, I think that's going to go really fast. I mean, really, well, yeah, I guess the people down there are kind of a heavy stitch, but really those houses are like the heaviest part of the stitching on the entire thing. So, got that one. The next one I have is an old Betsy Stinner. The photo's not great on this one, but I'll try to make it as visible as I can. This is the Colonial Sampler from Betsy Stinner. I got this out of one of my late friend's stash. Her name was Sandy, and she passed away a few years ago. So she took a class for this, which was the small piece, but then she included all of the stuff to make the large sampler. When I got it from Sandy's stash, there was not any fabric in there, but all the floss was still there. So the floss, floss is the called for floss. It's a mix of soie d'Alger and what else is it? And Silken Colors. So it is not a reproduction sampler. It's just a, you know, inspired by sampler. This was another one that I started for New Year's Eve, and then I was working on it this week a little bit to start getting the border. Not a ton done. This was just a piece of 32 count Belfast linen that I had. I think it's just a natural or raw. I don't know the actual name of the color. I absolutely love this. This is called Finnegan's Fog, and it goes from like a steely blue into a gray. Oh my god, it's such a pretty color of floss. It doesn't quite show as much up here yet, but I think it will once I get the rest of this border in. But it's like one of those, you know how you get those colors of floss that you're just like, I just want to stitch everything in this. Yeah, that's that for me. So that's where that's at. There are a lot of specialty stitches on this one, so that's going to be a fun one just to play around with specialty stitches. All right, so those are the ones I'm not taking to Hideaway. The rest of this stuff I'm taking to Hideaway. Now, my general rule for any retreat is that I bring one project for every day plus one project. I am officially going to be at Hideaway for 2 days. However, my friend Christine and I are staying another full extra day just to kind of putter around by ourselves, not part of the official retreat, but just hanging out in the hotel. And thank goodness we are, because the weather looks like it's going to be absolutely crappy that day. So it's going to be a good day to just kind of lay low and stitch and hang out. And then I also am kind of breaking the rule. I think I'm bringing 5 instead of 4, because I'm bringing my piece that I bring for snow days and for rainy days for my, you know, for my weather whip this year. So I'm bringing way too much stuff. I probably won't get onto everything, but that's okay. Part of it is also, there's a couple pieces in here I want to show off to my friends at the retreat. So, okay. So the first one I'm going to show you of the stuff going to Hideaway. I've got Modern Folk Embroideries, Fruit of Plenty. That's the whole piece. I finally have a color copy to show you. These were the colors that it was originally, the model was stitched in. Mine is stitched in 2 different colors of DMC. I've got 800 and 840. 800 is a light blue, and then 840 is a brown. This was last year's stitch along. It's still available on his website if you want it. And I imagine now you'll get the entire piece as opposed to the month by month release that we got last year. Since the whole piece has been released, I'm not strictly sticking to each month as it was released. I'm kind of stitching as it makes sense to me now, going with like the flow of a section of stitches as opposed to the hard breaks of the month breaks. So where I'm at now has January is done, I've done a little bit of February, and I've done a little bit of April. But here is where I am on it right now. Right now I am focusing on getting this blue done to bring it down to where it ends, and then I'll start doing some more outlining. And sorry about the noise, guys. My son is getting hyper back there. So yeah, that's where I'm at on that. This is on 40 count Newcastle linen from Silkweaver. It's a color called Antique Ivory. And like I said, it's 2 colors of DMC. I'm stitching it with 1 thread over 2 holes. And the coverage is like dead perfect for me. I started this for my birthday last year in January. So going slowly, obviously, but I am in no rush and I have no schedule. I am just enjoying it as I go. So there's that one. The next one I have is Mute But Not Silent. And this is one that I took as a class last September through the Tudor Rose Sampler Guild that is out of Dallas, Texas. You had to be a member to take the class, so I joined the guild, and I'm enjoying it, so I'm sticking around for a while as long as they'll have me as a remote member. This is the full piece. It is not a reproduction sampler, but again, it's one that is inspired by Dutch samplers, and this class was done in a murder mystery style. So there was a story that went along with it, and then the different motifs that are in here represented certain things in the story, which I thought was really, really cool. I've never done Dutch sampler work before, so it's a new thing for me, which is great because, you know, expanding my horizons. The entire thing is done in silk, and it is on 32 count Antique Ivory Belfast linen with the designer's flosses. Her name is Amy Mitten, and it's Fibers to Die For, D-Y-E, but all of them are named after names of D-I-E because they're all murder mystery titles for the flosses. It's awesome. If they weren't so expensive, I'd buy like a whole ton of them, but they are pricey projects. So here's where I am. This was one of my January whip goes, and my whip go goal, I kind of went a little too high for what I really should have done for whip go goal, but I'm going to just see if I can push it for the year and see if I can get it done anyway. My goal was to get part 1 of 3 done, so it's a good third of this chart to be done for whip go. Way too much for me in a month. Me with my goals. But hey, I got this motif done. I have this motif done except for what goes in the little circles because I'm waiting to get to that color in the 2 H's up here. And it's funny, they're the same letter, but the outline, if you notice, are just a little bit different. Your eyes are not tricking you. They are not identical. Even though it's the identical letter, they're stitched just a little differently. But that's where I am on that. This is one of the few pieces that I actually did based because she bounces around between the parts in the chart a bit, so to be able to follow it in order, that's what I had to do. We'll see how long I last following this one in order, but because of the story, I probably will. So that's where I'm at on that one. If I do pick this one out when I'm at Hideaway, it's going to be continuing on those big H's. Because they are massive and very complicated. Okay. The next one is one of my February whip goes. which is I Love New England. This is an out of print chart. There is a whole ton of text in there, which you'll see in a moment with me stitching it. I know it's really hard to see here. But yes, so this is an out of print chart. This is from a place called Sampler Needlework that used to be in Plymouth, Mass, but they have closed up shop, and I don't think they're even doing mail order anymore. It just completely disappeared. So I bought this chart like 20 years ago. I wanted to stitch it for so long, so I was happy when I finally picked it up, but then it stalled because I had a child. So this has been an on again, off again for a decade, literally now. I started this for New Year's in 2012. But here is where I'm at. And it's getting there. I've only got about like 3 more rows of text before I get to that big New England at the bottom. So it's really getting there. I have this on 32 count antique white Zweigart, and all of the floss, and this is DMC. It's about a dozen colors of DMC. So an easy stitch, just those borders, as you can see, is a lot of straight stitching, so it can be a little monotonous. Those counted projects I did last year where I had to stitch, 200 stitches, probably the only thing that made those worthwhile, to just challenge myself to plow through those stitches, because yeah, that's probably the only bear of this whole piece, is just doing that big long border. But everything else about this has been fun, and once you get going, it's a fun stitch. This is on my list to finish this year. That is my goal, and I'm pretty darn sure that I can get it done. So you will probably see frequent updates on this for the rest of the year. I am going to try to get this sucker done. So that's that one. Okay, the next one I do not have a layout to show you because it's a mystery sampler for this year. This is by iStitch Designs. I had the Jade Band sampler last year, which is still in progress by them, and this year is the Denim Band sampler. So every week we get a section of the stitching, about, like roughly 30 stitches down of stuff. It is very alphabet heavy, so if you're someone who does not like alphabets, these are not the samplers for you. But it's basically alphabets and then some bands, and alphabets and bands. I am planning on playing with a couple of these bands later on, and maybe throwing in like the Russian alphabet, just for the heck of it. We'll see. But this is finished with week 3 and going into week 4, so I'm a little bit behind. This is going to be one of my primary focuses at Hideaway. I want to get this caught up, which I'm sure I can do easily if I just set a day on this. And it's like an easy one to see, no matter what time of day it is and no matter what the light is, because I will have my light. So this is on 28 count banding, and I am doing this in a mix of 4 different flosses. The straight line here and the outside of this vertical band is DMC 312, and then the rest of it is a mix of hand dyed from Mo's sale on Facebook, and the hand dyed by Rolanda out of Canada, who is on Etsy. And the nice thing is that they kind of all work perfectly together. So that's what that looks like so far. And I got a whole ways to go. But yeah, so this is my primary focus piece. I want to get this sucker caught up again, so I can just keep working on it on the week it's released. Tighten that back up before I put it over here. Okay, last 2. I have Little House Needleworks, the Early American series. I am currently working on the square that is Molly Pitcher. These were all released separately, so I'd have to hold up 9 charts to show you the whole piece, but you'll get it. This is what I'm focused on right now. This was a New Year's start in 2020 before COVID hit. The Betsy Ross is done on the top, and then Molly Pitcher I decided to bounce. So Molly Pitcher is down here on the bottom. I'm doing this on 40 count granite dust from Silkweaver, and all of the flosses are the called for floss, other the ones that she always uses. So I am not going to be adding, I know there's some like extra outside borders, I think like Vana did and a couple other people. I'm just choosing on leaving it this way. I'm not going to be doing the outside borders. I kind of just want to have it nice and simple. So that's what that looks like. So I'll be working on more of Molly Pitcher while I'm there. This obviously, because of the darker linen, has to be a daytime project, and because of the count. This is one of my whip goes for February, and the goal was to finish the Molly Pitcher square. Probably not going to get that done by the end of February, but I will not have a problem getting that done this year. So there's that one, and the final piece is my weather piece. If it's raining or if it's snowing, more snow than rain, I'm going to be working on this. This came out of the Nice Box from Black Needle Society, and I loved it. I had to stitch it right away. So this is Winter Welcome from Park Hopper Bart, and everything that I'm stitching with is the called for stuff. It's what was kitted with it. I have an airline going. It's just a busy day around here today. This was one of the New Year's Eve 12 by 12s. I do not have a big start on this, so you're going to see basically what all of those 12 by 12s look like right now. I started to work on this for the closing ceremonies of the Olympics, and I just found that I just wasn't in the mood to stitch that night, so I think I got like a row done. It's an amazing start, isn't it? Ooh, I know. This is on 32 count Winterberry linen from Fortnite Fabrics, the called for linen. And right now I'm using that DMC Etoile thread. New to me, not sure whether I like it or not. I'm finding it a little cranky to stitch with, but the glittery effect is really, really pretty. I mean, it really does have a nice sparkle to it, and it does beat blending filament any day of the week. So that's how that's looking so far. This probably will wind up being Thursday evening as the snow's coming down. That's probably what I'm going to work on. And that's all I have to show you for projects. Quick, so let's see, I'm at about 38 minutes, and I don't like to have these go too far over a half hour because I know everyone's got their lives. So just a quick thing about Stitcher's Hideaway that I'm going to. This is a long running retreat. It's been going for the better part of 20 years now. It's been broken out in several different ways over the years. They usually have a couple during the year that are class oriented, where one designer comes in and teaches a class, and then they have a couple of other retreats. There's one that they started up a couple of years ago in December that's pretty small. That one is held in Mystic, Connecticut. And then there's a bigger alumni retreat, which is the one I'm going to, which is up in Sturbridge, Mass. That's only about like a 90-minute drive from me. It's an easy drive. Held at a lovely old inn that dates back to the 1770s. So very quirky, very charming, very old New England. This retreat is held for a full week. It runs Monday through Friday. However, you get to choose your own retreat days. It's a minimum of 2 days up to the entire week. And basically, you know, there's like a set price for the 2 days, and then you just have an additional day add-on price. Lunch and dinner are included. The meals are extremely filling. I think I gained like 10 pounds over the course of the week. So I'm going to be looking forward to probably a couple of salads on Friday when I'm at the hotel, but not eating the organized food. This one's nice and laid back. You bring your own stuff, you camp out, you chat with friends. There's usually somebody there with a pop-up shop, so you can do a little bit of shopping. Otherwise, this is just a friendly gathering. It is called an alumni retreat, so it's open first come to alumni who have taken one of the classes at Stitcher's Hideaway or been at one of their previous retreats. And then when there's available room, it opens up to anybody else. And chances are you're going to be able to get into it, but usually look towards the end of the week because it seems to be a little heavier in the beginning of the week. It's always held this time in February, so it works out well for me because it's school vacation week. Well, yes and no, because my husband has to take the time off with Max, but in any case. So this one's always held in February. It's just fun, and it's about 50 people, 50 to 60 people, so it's not huge. It's not like big chaos, you know, with a whole ton of stuff going on. It's just a cozy, quiet group, and everyone just kind of is working on their stuff and seeing what everyone's doing and catching up. There are a lot of people who do needlepoint at this retreat. It's kind of I'd say it's about a half needlepoint and cross stitch. So it's a little more diverse, but the nice thing is that everybody's cool. It's not one of those things where anyone's looking down on anybody. It's just, we all do needlework and we're all doing different things and we all show it off. And it's awesome that way. So I'm looking forward to going. This is going to be a little weird because Stitcher's Hideaway was the last event I went to before COVID. The last time this alumni retreat was held was that one back in 2020. And it's still kind of freaky to think that I went to that retreat and 2 weeks later is when the world just completely changed. So to go back tonight is going to be a little surreal, and it's going to be like walking back into the before time, even though it's not really before time anymore. I am going to take some videos while I'm there. I will be compiling some stuff afterwards to share in my next video so you can get a sense of what it looks like and what I did while I was there, and the snow and everything, and just the inn, because the inn is just really cool. I love old buildings anyway, so I'll be kind of just wandering all over the place and I'll show you what you can see. And yeah, that's what's going on here. So thanks for spending a little bit of time with me. I hope you have a good week, and I will check in with you hopefully when I get back on Sunday or early next week to show you everything that happened. Have a good week. I'll see you guys later. Bye.